Where are we going this year? We're going to the Frozen Four. The Frozen Four. Yes. Where are we headed? Where will the end of the 2020 NCAA hockey season bring us? Oh, I'm trying to remember. It's going to be a traditional hockey market for us. Oh, yes. We're headed for Detroit. Detroit! Frozen Four! Little Caesars Arena! Wait. Wake up. It wasn't a Final Four. It wasn't a Frozen Four last year. That was a bummer. Do we have one this year? Does the Frozen Four return in 2021? Yes! I hear the music! Pittsburgh! Here I come! Frozen Four! Welcome to the Kacmedia NCAA Men's Hockey Tournament preview. And we are hyped up. This is going to be the most comprehensive preview that you are going to see or hear anywhere. And this music is just firing me up. This isn't a Charlie Brown intro. Any NCAA Frozen Four on KAC. I am your host, Crowley, and joining us momentarily, it's going to be my cohort, A.J. Kaufman. A.J., can you hear me right now?
I do hear you. I'm trying to figure out why my video is not working, and I think I may have figured it out, and there it is.
Yes! You heard the music. I mean, I did this awesome intro.
But that was the NHL music, no?
Yes.
Well, this is college, but okay.
Well, no. The ESPN will play it. They'll play it for the Frozen Four. John Buccigrass.
As they should. Buccigrass.
The chicken parm. Oh, we're in Pittsburgh, so it'll be
Permonti.
You got it. That's what it will be.
That's a long trip for him, having to go west to the Appalachians.
College hockey will convene, and it's a different format this year. There's usually not a lot of controversy as far as selection committee or that type of thing that you see in basketball, and they hype up and hyperbole all over on football. How we had a somewhat shortened season, and we had no conference games. So how did the committee come about selecting 16 teams this year?
Well, they did it subjectively, and that's to be the honest truth. Normally there's something called pairwise, which if you don't follow college hockey, you may want to look it up. It's sort of like what the RPI used to be, but it's really done by computer, and it does take a lot of the human factor out of it, and it makes it, a little less exciting for the field of 16, because you kind of know the night before, you plug in some numbers and you see, okay, you're the 3, you're going to play the 14, and we go from there. Well, this time there wasn't a pairwise because of a dearth of non-conference games, that being 0, which would be less than a dearth. And what happened? They had to do it by just looking at the eyeball test and looking at schedules. And there's no way to know how good the Big Ten was or how good the NCHC was or some of the Eastern conferences. And I think they did a good job. I think the key was, I kept hearing in the days approaching it, they're going to try to minimize travel. They're going to try to minimize travel, even if that means they don't get teams in the right places or the right seeds. And I was thinking, that is the worst idea I've ever heard. It's, who cares if someone has to take a plane versus an 8-hour bus ride or what have you? Get them in the right places and uphold the integrity of the system and go by, look at the schedule, look at their winning percentage, look at their good wins. And I think they did. Obviously you have a few caveats where a team like St. Lawrence wins their conference tournament with only 5 or 6 wins all year and gets in, but then their coach comes down with COVID-19 and they're out. And of course they plug in, we'll get to who they plugged in. And that may be the only hiccup, but I think they did a great job overall, much better than the basketball committee. I don't usually criticize, but I think they did a less than stellar job this year in basketball, but that's not our topic.
Well, when we get to the basketball one, and when you're talking about 68 teams, and they've added like a first 4 and everything else in recent years, and we're going with the St. Louis Billikens got screwed. They got snubbed. That's like every sports writer's favorite word is that team that was snubbed, the team that was the first 4 out. Now with the NCAA, there was a little extra wiggle room with the bubble teams this year because the Ivy League did not play, and who knows when Ivy League athletics will be played anytime in the foreseeable future. There
is no actual Ivy League hockey, but 6 of the 8 Ivy League teams, I believe, all of them except for Columbia and Penn, do play hockey, and I think they all play in the ECAC, which wound up having like 3 or 4 teams this year, and that's the league that St. Lawrence wound up winning. So a little bit confusing there, but I think, I don't want to talk about basketball other than to say I didn't mean they did a terrible job, the committee. I meant the seeding was crazy this year. I think they got the right teams in, but some of the seeding was clearly off, and we don't need to get into that.
In a normal year, I don't think you would have seen Omaha or whoever wound up being the 16th team in, but I think we've got a very good selection. You are excited that all 5 of your Minnesota teams are in. Not to mention the UND Fighting Hawks. I mean Sioux, which borders Minnesota, so we could.
And Omaha, I having lived in Nebraska, where you live now, I have a soft spot for Omaha, and I have nothing against Wisconsin. So, frankly, half the field to me is just fantastic. I'm not a North Dakota fan, but they are a regional team. So, I believe, doing some quick math, half of the teams in the tournament come from either Michigan, Wisconsin, or Minnesota. 5, 1, and 2. That would be 8. So half the teams come from Michigan, Wisconsin, or Minnesota, which is great.
And we have one from Indiana.
Yeah, and Nebraska, and Connecticut, and probably 3 or 4 from Massachusetts, actually.
I thought it was like 10 that is in the West, whether it be NCHC, Big Ten, or
if you count Indiana as West, it's 11.
Right.
11. And that was something everyone talked about. Will it be a 10-6 split or a 9-7 split? And because of St. Lawrence having to drop out, it wound up being an 11-5 split. So we could have something, like we did in 2018 when I went to the Frozen Four, where all 4 teams were from the Midwest, which would be great.
Right. And if you remember that 2018 season, we had the conference tournaments, the NCHC. I know you're not a big fan of the conference tournaments, but University of Minnesota and Duluth needed about a 17 parlay that night to get into the tournament.
They were the last, you're absolutely right. They were the last team in. I believe Notre Dame eliminated Ohio State or something like that in the Big Ten finals, got Minnesota Duluth in by the hair on their skin, or whatever the expression is.
They keep saying 0.000001.
Right.
point.
And unlike in basketball where, there are upsets, but when you have a 16-team single elimination hockey tournament,
Right.
anything could happen. And Duluth they steamrolled the tournament. And in the Frozen Four, you couldn't get anything by Shepherd, and they won it all as the last team in.
For 2 years in a row, could Hunter Shepherd, who's now toiling in the ECHL with I think it's the South Carolina Stingrays.
Yeah.
We'll never know if Hunter Shepherd could have let him do a three-peat, but that was last year. We're now in this year. Explain the St. Lawrence situation in a nutshell, where they went from literally the highest of highs to the lowest of lows in a matter of hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They win the conference tournament. I think it was only a 4-team conference tournament, and had to withdraw Sunday afternoon, not long before the selection show. They had to withdraw. And look, we all feel terribly for them and the highs and lows they went through. But if you look right here, they won 4 games all year.
Right.
Before the tournament.
4, 8, and 3.
And they beat Colgate, who's not that good. And then,
I mean, we had it in basketball, a couple teams that wouldn't have made the field, but they swept through their conference tournaments. At least they had halfway decent records and were deserving to be in there, even if they stole seeds from some other teams. So as a result of St. Lawrence's exit, that put Notre Dame in. So
yeah, that's the troubling one. I have nothing against Notre Dame. There's a lot of Notre Dame haters out there in the country and a lot of Notre Dame lovers. I think it's hard. They were a very erratic team. I remember them winning at Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota twice when the Gophers were basically undefeated. They also lost a ton of home games. They opened the season losing to your Badgers when the Badgers weren't even supposed to be good. And their record was right around or below 500. And then they go into the Big Ten tournament against Penn State, who's not a tournament team. And we figured that's kind of an elimination game. And they lost to Penn State, who then went on to lose after that to Wisconsin. But that should have been it for Notre Dame. And it was until St. Lawrence dropped out. But I'm not a fan of the Eastern schools usually, but I don't know that Notre Dame was the team that I would have put in. There are a bunch of other teams, Providence, Connecticut, Western Michigan, Denver, Mass Lowell. There were quite a few teams that could have gone over Notre Dame.
I would have thought, although they had an off year this year, I would have thought Denver.
Denver had a lot of losses. I honestly don't have the stats in front of me. They were under 500, and they didn't get to play some of their games against CC, and that hurt them because they probably would have won. But I know they lost both games to St. Cloud. They had to play North Dakota a bunch. They played Omaha, obviously, and they didn't do that well in the Omaha tournament in December. I don't think I would have put Denver in, though they had been 12 straight times. I do think that getting Omaha in the tournament was the right thing. They had the wins. They beat North Dakota a couple times. No one else can really say that. And they're a good team. If you've watched Omaha, I'm not a big fan of the eyeball test cliche, but having watched Omaha, that's an NCAA tournament team. And they play in the NCHC, where they finished a solid 4th. They should have beaten Denver in the first round, which would have made it even easier for them to get in, but they did blow it in the third period. They're a tournament team. And when we get to our predictions, you'll see that they've got a path. You never know.
And you alluded to the NCHC pod, as they called it, which was played in December, and all 8 of the conference teams were holed up in the Aksarben Village Center.
Aksarben, that's Nebraska backwards for those of you playing outside of the Cornhusker State.
So that's what that word is.
You didn't know that?
No.
Where else do you find a word like Aksarben? Aksarben.
I'm a Wisconsinite in my heart.
Yeah, that's hard. What's that backwards? Niskakau or something. Yeah.
I think my name is Yellwork or something like that.
Well, mine's just Ira. It's pretty easy. Ira.
Ira. IRA.
Yep, that's right. Make it easy. So yeah, I'm glad Omaha's in. But
what did you think the NCHC pod be? Because here in December interesting if you had the subscription package, the NCHC TV, or even listen to a few of the games and hear some of the, the North Dakota radio or Duluth radio or whatever it may be, or Jim Erickson on your St. Cloud call. There were games, afternoon, night, and it went on for like almost 3 weeks. And, it was a shame there were no fans there and that, but you got to see the whole Colorado College was a few days late, but it was a fun event.
It was, yeah, it was on.
And it well handled.
Very well handled. That was the important thing. Colorado College had a positive test that kept them out for, I think, the first 5 or 6 days or a week. Otherwise, they played something like 30 something games in 20 days, and it was round robin, but they tried to keep the teams playing, because what happened in January, they kept teams in their 4-4 East and Western part of the conference. They had most of the Omaha games were cross, interconference, if you will. So St. Cloud and Duluth would go out and play more often against Omaha and Colorado and Denver.
Like St. Cloud and Duluth was playing like every other day.
Yeah, St. Cloud and Duluth played 7 times in January and February, so they didn't play, thankfully, in December. But St. Cloud would play Omaha and Denver and North Dakota because they assumed they wouldn't play them again during the year.
A lot of trips up Interstate 35.
Yeah, St. Cloud won 5 of the 7 against Duluth, and they're both in the tournament. All 5
And you have reminded me of that fact.
Well, historically, St. Cloud has struggled against Duluth, especially in Duluth. And, it's
I think
good
we
to
had
beat
one
them.
game, it went scoreless into the 3-on-3 overtime.
That was the NCHC final 2 years ago. St. Cloud State has actually made the NCHC final every time they've been in the frozen face-off, if you will, and only won it once against Duluth about 5 years ago. But they usually make it and lose in the finals, including this year. But I don't think it affected their seeding. They were going to be a 2 seed. And let's get to the regions. Let's start with Albany.
Sure, and we'll get there right now. And I am actually going to get to the NCAA page. Here we go. And first we'll start with your top 4 seeds. I'll do it like Greg Gumbel.
Well,
the number 1 overall seed is the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. They will be in the Fargo Regional.
The Fargo Regional, which they're in because they're hosting, and of course, only an hour from campus. They're going to allow 25-30% fans. No COVID test required. Let's not get into that.
Oh, wow. Unlike another regional we'll get to shortly.
Right.
Let's get to that right now. Your number 2 seed are the Boston College Eagles. A lot of Minnesota Wild draft picks on that.
Yes. A lot of draft picks in general, but yes.
Yes, as always. They are in the Albany, New York regional. I guess their arena was going to host NCAA basketball last year. That, of course, did not happen. But there will be a Northeast regional, or maybe it's the East regional in Albany, in Mario Cuomo's Albany.
And Andrew Cuomo's too.
Playing the hoops the 1,300 fans that will be allowed for each game will have to go through to attend this.
Yeah, no, they'll be swabbed, or they have to be. No, they don't have to be. They have to produce a positive, negative.
Rapid, and they're actually offering it at the arena on Wednesday, but I guess it's like a $40 cost in addition to buying the tickets.
That's as much as the tickets are. My gosh.
Yes. A rapid test is not good. It has to be a PCR test.
Right.
And myself personally, I got my second vaccination today. That's not good enough.
No, it's Tuesday.
I have to get the fucking PCR test too if I want. So there must be Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew.
What's I calling him, Mario?
Yeah, his dad was a 3-term governor too. Don't worry, it's all good.
It's all good. Andrew Cuomo must not have much, not respect, but confidence in the current COVID vaccination program. So yes, if you want to attend the games in Albany this weekend, you need a PCR test no earlier than Wednesday and have to have those results back negative before puck drop.
Yeah. Just dimming the light a little bit to make the little better because it's too much bright in the background.
I mean,
Sorry.
you sent me something on a college baseball program in your area. It's like even more draconian.
Yeah, some of these small college baseball programs that get 50 fans, it's amazing what they're making. If you're even allowed to go, it's mostly family.
It's like there's not going to be 5,000 people flocking to their games anyways, but they're
not even 500 people.
The concession stands, you cannot come in until a half hour before the game.
Yeah.
You have to go through this gate. You must leave exactly after the final out.
These are outdoor games. I mean, you and I went to a game in Omaha and Wichita. I've been to hockey games in St. Cloud and in Tulsa. And these places had 2,000, they had 2,000, 3,000 fans. It was no problem. You walked in with your mask, you gave them your ticket, things were clean, you sat down, you watched the game. No one got sick, as far as I know. There were no problems. Some of these people need to just go and actually experience what other places are doing, or just wake up with some common sense. I'm not saying have 20,000 people at the arena, but 25% in Fargo and let them go in and watch the game with a mask.
I mean, it's been nice to watch NCAA basketball and actually hear fan reaction.
Well, yeah, especially in the tournament.
That kind of, such that simple stuff are we taking for granted for decades. But
all right. So
anyways, we got Boston College as your number 2 seed. We are going to go up into the West Regional, which is in Loveland, Colorado, which was supposed to hold it last year. They're holding it this year, but there are no fans there because it's Colorado.
Too bad.
And the Minnesota Golden Gophers are your number 3 seed. Bob Boxkill's squad. They'll be opening up against the Omaha Mavericks, and Minnesota State will be playing Quinnipiac, the school well known for its political polling.
Too bad we don't have Siena in here.
Yeah. Yes.
Or Monmouth.
There you go. And then finally in actually Bridgeport, Connecticut, the Wisconsin Badgers are your 4th number 1 seed. They open up play on Friday. First thing Friday, that puck drop is less than 72 hours away, 12 p.m. Central Time. Get your VCR out if you're at work that day. They will be playing Bemidji State. Help me out. You're the Minnesota guy.
Bemidji. You got it. Bemidji. WCHA.
Okay. And then Lake Superior. How long has it been since Lake Superior State has?
25 years. Yeah, way before I was watching college hockey.
Such a great legacy of someone like Dave Starman would tell you. There's such a great legacy of hockey in the UP of Michigan. So it's great to see. I don't know how long it's been since Northern Michigan has been in it, or I think it's Sault Ste. Marie have a
Sault Ste. Marie is Lake Superior. Northern Michigan is in Marquette, the biggest city up there. And then Michigan Tech, which has been in a couple times recently, is in Houghton, Michigan, which is way up on the Keweenaw Peninsula.
Yes, on the
about 5.5 hours from here.
Like the dog's tail. That's what it looks like.
Yes, beautiful area in the summer.
Yes. So, I mean, it's great to see the UP represented again for the first time in what has to be quite a while. But let's now go with the region by region. And we've done this a little bit already. There are only 16 teams, but North Dakota opens against your favorite school that knocked off St. Cloud a couple years back. A1C, I mean AIC.
AOC. I think it's AOC. I think AOC, the Congresswoman. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, this is an improved AOC team, AIC, A1C. I don't say that because I mean they beat St. Cloud 2 years ago. I think it was fluky. The ice was a little bit thick. They had a couple goals, and then they lost to Denver. I think this is a decent team. Yes, we're going to be the last team in before St. Lawrence and all that, and that's why they're playing North Dakota. But they're returning to the scene of the crime. They had like a month off. They didn't play like basically all of February before they got into the conference tournament, shaked off the rust and beat Canisius.
They were in trouble in one of the games. He thought that there was going to be
I think it was Canisius in the final. It was, these are.
Yeah, and I think I would have been a one bid league.
Yeah, although improving. And if you look at, I think someone mentioned it, this conference, the Atlantic Hockey, is very good in the tournament first round. I mean, of course, with Air Force beating St. Cloud and AIC, and other wins. I think Rochester, one of those schools, beat Mankato 3 or 4 years ago. They've won some first round games. They're returning to the scene of the crime, 116 matchup, but it would be hard fetched. North Dakota hasn't been in the tournament in 4 years. I mean, they're ready.
What happened, and I remember St. Cloud's first game in the conference tournament, which was played in Grand Forks because that was where they could get the most fans in simply. And they had Colorado College, they had one goaltender on their roster. Mike Vernon's kid. If he got hurt, they would have been without a goaltender, and it was like a 45-7 shot advantage. But
it was.
St. Cloud State had a lot of trouble. It took them a while to get in gear with that game. And Jim Erickson said on the radio, goes, I'm not going to say what game this reminds me of, but he was referring to.
It was nerve wracking, but you can't compare it because if they had lost that game, they'd still be in the NCAA tournament. Maybe it's a 3 seed. It wasn't. It was, but it's hockey. Anything can happen, especially if you get that first goal.
Situation. A lot of the complaints that day were about the ice surface because they had to build up a new ice surface rather than have the logos and sponsors of the normal USHL or minor league team that would play in that venue.
Fargo Force.
Put it up to put the NCAA signage up in that. So that's been one of the complaints, and hopefully they find a happy medium, or if nothing else, they've had plenty of time to.
I want to point out one thing about North Dakota that I read earlier today. They have a bunch of Hobie Baker Award finalists. They were obviously really, really good last year too, but they didn't make the tournament in 2018 or 19. So no one on this roster for North Dakota has NCAA tournament experience. AIC, I'm sure, has quite a few guys who were there 2 years ago. So just worth noting that North Dakota, as good as they are, and I think they are the best team in the country right now, has no experience in the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, basketball, I gave you Gonzaga and I took the field. You might be pretty good with Gonzaga. Now, if I gave you North Dakota and I took the field, there's a lot that can happen in hockey.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hockey's hard to say. The best team, I was going to say the best team doesn't usually win, but I think 2 years ago, Duluth was probably the best team. I think in 2017, Denver might have been the best. Certainly in 2016, North Dakota was. So the best team does sometimes win the championship in hockey, despite all the flukes. Now, St. Cloud was the best team, certainly in 2018 or 19, maybe both. They did. So, okay.
And
the other game.
We're looking at the second half of that bracket. Your two-time defending national champion, UMD Bulldogs. They get your favorite university in every sport, and it's the Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah, I only dislike Michigan in football and basketball. I actually like their baseball team, made a nice run in the College World Series, and I've got nothing against their hockey team. Look, this is a great game from what I mean, you can't deny Minnesota, Duluth, two-time defending champion, like you said. Michigan, before I was watching college hockey, apparently they're winning lots of national titles, but they haven't done that in 20 plus years. They've won, I think I read if you put them with North Dakota and Duluth, North Dakota, and Michigan have won like 20 national championships. So this might be the region of death, if you will. But Michigan's got a really good team. They've got a lot of freshmen. They've also got a lot of those freshmen that are first round picks. And they've had a weird year. They were paused for quite a while, like every sport.
All of Michigan athletics is paused for a while.
Right. So you don't know. They played okay.
And Michigan, that's another nice run state that's handled the pandemic well.
Oh yeah, very well. Great governor. We'll keep it to sports here though. They just announced today that
good jab.
They just announced today that their 6'5" defenseman Owen Power was named CHN College Hockey News Rookie of the Year, And he's supposed to be not only a high pick, but maybe even the number 1 overall pick.
So over the St. Cloud guy, the Flying Finn.
Yeah, you never know. They don't get into it too detailed like they do in football, but it'll be a very good game. And the winner probably playing North Dakota. That'll be another great game. I've been to a couple Duluth, North Dakota games in the Frozen Face-Off, and man, that's a good rivalry. Really good.
Yes, that would be something to see. And tickets are sold out. It's always an expensive ticket up there, even more so this time around. We're gonna get to. Actually, let's switch over to the Bridgeport Regional.
Okay.
You see the Beavers a lot. Bemidji. What do you think they can pull off an upset? It's been a while.
I don't see the Beavers that much. Yeah, they're the Bemidji. I don't see that much. WCHA games aren't really on. I don't have the channel that televises Mankato anymore. So I don't. I've seen them play St. Cloud in past years. I'm glad they're back in. They won the national title in 2006. They haven't been in the tournament in about 10 years. They've played a very tough schedule, but they also finished 3rd place in the WCHA, which, is a better league than last year, but they're still 3rd place. This is the final year, by the way, of the WCHA.
Where are the teams currently in the WCHA going to go next year?
Isn't it the rebirth of the CCHA, I believe?
Yeah, that's what I heard. And will Lake Superior State and a few of those teams?
I think it's everyone except for the Alaska schools, probably. And I'm not sure about
Huntsville.
And Huntsville. Yeah, I don't know. But it's a tough matchup for them. The Badgers are back. They haven't been in the tournament in a while.
Well, you have. I would have to say. With Caulfield, your lock for the Hobie Baker Award.
Hobie favorite. 28 goals in 29 games or something like that. A lot of them were game winners.
I know they had Turcotte last year, and he's with the Los Angeles Kings organization now. Yes, Caulfield.
The Badgers really got to do it for a lot of these guys are going to turn pro. And the Badgers had some really lean years, as you know, 2014, 15, 16, 17. They weren't winning many games at all. And even last year, they weren't that good. And here they are as the number 1 seed. They were able to sneak into that number 1 seed because that was supposed to be Mankato, Minnesota State Mankato. But I think that the fact that Mankato lost in the conference semifinals, lost badly to a non-tournament team in Northern Michigan, that got Wisconsin the number 1 seed, and it sent them to Bridgeport, where this is quite a regional. You've got Wisconsin, Bemidji State, and Lake Superior State making their way to the coast, the East Coast. I mean, charter planes are going to be used because how the heck do you get from Sault Ste. Marie or Bemidji to Bridgeport, where there'll be no fans? It'll be quite the thing. And of course, Massachusetts, they can just drive down.
UMass will be the lone. This isn't Massachusetts Lowell.
No, this is Amherst.
This is the Minutemen.
This is the not the charter school, whatever they call it, the term for the main school of the system. But anyway,
the flagship.
Yeah, so let's go to that game. Massachusetts, they were in the national title game 2 years ago, and they're really good again this year. I think they were 16-4, 16-5. Some people thought they could have gotten number 1 seed. Lake Superior State, though, is really good. At least they're playing really well right now. They had a really good second half. It is their first tournament in 26 years. I just looked it up, since 1995. They've got a lot of international players, and they, of course, won the WCHA tournament rather easily in the finals. So, UMass will be favored. A lot of people thought Lake Superior wasn't going to get in. Then if they got in, they'd be a 4. They're a 3 seed, which is interesting. I probably would have. That's one of the only things I would have changed. I might have given someone else a 3 seed, like Omaha, frankly. But it'll be a good game. And of course, I'm looking at a Wisconsin, Massachusetts probably final in that, which would be a fantastic game too.
Yeah.
But by the way, this is a very important regional for the WCHA or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, even UMass, we're in Connecticut. They got to drive a little ways, but
everything's close in New England. Hour and a half.
Yeah, they'll feel more at home than, it is in New England, so they'll feel a little more at home than the other teams in there. But I think it's going to really be no home ice advantage.
No, there's none. But I just want to mention Bemidji and Lake Superior. They're representing whatever conference they're in. this conference has been maligned for years. It's basically been Mankato and everyone else. You've got 3 teams in this year. Bemidji and Lake Superior, it'd be great for them if one of them could win a game. It'd be really good for the conference to show that they deserve to get 3 teams in. So it'd be interesting.
Back in its heyday, the WCHA had Wisconsin, St. Cloud. I attended. They called it the Final Five in those days, their conference tournament. And my boss got me and my buddy tickets, and we got to see Wisconsin against St. Cloud State. St. Cloud won about the first minute of overtime. Great hockey game.
What year was that?
Oh, God, 1993, 94.
Yeah, so St. Cloud hadn't been Division I that long. I think they turned Division I in like 89 or 90. Yeah.
Right. I mean, fans got a laugh out of the skating cheerleaders or told them to go back to the ice capades.
Not sure.
But it was something that you wouldn't see at the NHL level at that time. You really don't see there. I mean, they do a little more cheerleading and mascot type stuff there. But we're moving on to the Loveland Regional. And you've been asking for weeks now, why the heck are they still playing this regional in Loveland if there are no fans there and there are no teams, no local teams of note there, where maybe you could have put a second bracket in Grand Forks, or not Grand Forks, but in Fargo.
Look, you probably could have played the whole tournament in St. Paul and Minneapolis, to be honest, like the basketball did. I'm not going to complain, but it's a little odd. These Loveland and Bridgeport with no fans. What's the point? I mean, the guys are going to stay in the hotel. There's not going to, it's Loveland's, by the way, is a small city. It's an hour from Denver. It's not even a suburb. It's great that they have it there.
A little north of Denver. I mean,
yeah, it's basically Fort Collins. It's Baja Fort Collins.
Okay. We're getting past Boulder and
Boulder, straight up 25. It's 55, 60 miles. I mean, it would have been cool to have teams there and fans, especially if Denver made it.
I would have considered making the trip.
Yeah, well, Omaha is the only team that actually might be driving. I don't know. I think I kept hearing people say there'll be only 5 teams that will be busing to the games. I'm assuming they're all the New England teams plus North Dakota and probably Duluth will bus to Fargo. Omaha could, but it's a good 7-8 hours to Loveland from Omaha, maybe closer to 8. So anyway, no fans. So it would have been cool. You got 3 regional, 3 Western teams. The Gophers, look, I have nothing against the Gophers. They won the Big Ten tournament. They tied Wisconsin for the title, but regular season, but Wisconsin got it by points. They've got some good players. Bob Motzkow, former St. Cloud State coach. But I think they have what's that?
Long time. I used to get tickets right behind the St. Cloud bench.
That's right. And he's still wearing the sweater vest, just a little maroon now, red.
But I think try to watch him and his assistant.
It is a tough matchup for them. I think Omaha's a really good 4 seed. And I think Minnesota, they've had a couple really weirdly bad games this year against Notre Dame, against Wisconsin. But otherwise, they've won like 23 games. I think that's the most in the country. So anyway, it's not an easy matchup for them, for the Gophers. And of course, the other matchup, what do we have in the other matchup, Kurt?
We got the Minnesota State Mavericks and Quinnipiac.
Yeah, Minnesota State, as usual, with a phenomenal record, 20-4, 21-4.
And
they lost.
Weren't we here with them 2 years ago? And I remember they looked really good in that first round game, and they ended up losing.
We know the story. They're, as much as St. Cloud State has struggled in the first round recently, at least they've won some games. Mankato, or Minnesota State as they're called, the national level, never won a game in the tournament. Been there 7-8 times. Last time 2 years ago, they had a big lead over Providence. By the way, playing in Providence against Providence, which is one of the reasons I don't like Providence. They seem to always wind up in the tournament as the last team in and playing at home. It's just, and they won the title. It doesn't make sense. And that, by the way, that did help. They had an entire crowd cheering for them, and they came back from a 3-0 deficit to beat Mankato 6-4, something like that. Minnesota State, first time they're ever playing Quinnipiac. I did read that. And look, Minnesota State is a really good goalie, and they have a lot to play for. They've, again, 6 or 7 straight times have been in the tournament and haven't won a game. but man, they didn't look good in the semifinals of the conference tournament.
I mean, even Omaha has made a Frozen Four.
Well, yeah, more recently than St. Cloud has.
The Mavericks to, kind of get beyond that first round for the sake of their program to be mentioned in the same same breath as St. Cloud State or Duluth, not to mention Minnesota.
Well, Omaha made the Frozen Four in 2015, I think it was. They lost to North Dakota. They actually played them. I think it was in Boston or Philadelphia, probably Boston.
Anything
can happen. Yeah, Boston. Anything can happen. Omaha beats Minnesota and they wind up playing like Quinnipiac or something. I mean, yeah, anything can happen. I don't know much about Quinnipiac. What I do know is that they had a bye to the championship because someone had to drop out. I forget the name. Clarkson, which is a good program, had to drop out.
Yeah. Clarkson's always around. You see him around the top.
Right. Clarkson had to drop out of the playoffs. Quinnipiac got a bye to the finals, and they lost to St. Lawrence. So not a good ending of the season for them.
Had Clarkson last year, and that did not go well. I was in Madison too. That did not go well.
Yeah. Well, they're not around. Quinnipiac was a bubble team until they got anointed the tournament champions. They probably would have been a 4 seed, maybe. So that regional is very good. Although I know I'm sounding like an Omaha lover, but I almost would have reversed Omaha and Quinnipiac 3 and 4. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, and we'll get to our last regional. We are going to get to good old Albany, New
York, Times Union Center, 10% capacity.
Mostly
Boston fans.
If I can lower my screen here.
Boston to Albany. How far is Boston to Albany? Let's find out. Not more than 3 hours, I bet. No, boy. No available routes. Well,
here we go. 2 programs very familiar with each other in football.
Oh, BC and Notre Dame? Yeah, they are. I'm sure they've played in hockey many times too. But Notre Dame's lucky to be there. Let's be honest. 14 and 13. Just looked it up. So they did finish above 500. And we talked about earlier how they probably shouldn't have made it after they lost in the conference tournament and wouldn't have made it if St. Lawrence hadn't backed out. But they beat Minnesota. They beat Michigan this year. I don't know if they beat Wisconsin. BC has been, number 1 or 2 all year. 17 and 5. They did lose in the conference semifinals to UMass Lowell, which didn't affect their seeding. They still got a number 1 seed. They've got a couple Hobie Baker finalists, and they're going to be heavily favored. There's no doubt about it. And they're going to have the crowd on their side, just like Boston University will against St. Cloud.
Why is BU AWOL this year?
BU had COVID issues. They didn't start their season until mid-January. Multiple COVID shutdowns.
That's the school where they were making the basketball team wear masks during games.
Yeah, that's a very, very liberal school, by the way, Boston University. Right in the city, big communications department. My mom went there, so it's kind of a rivalry between her and me, I guess.
So your mom went to BU. You're not a Terrier fan?
No. I mean, she obviously graduated way before I was born. So yeah. But BU has a good record. They're 10 and 4.
You have a connection.
Yeah, well, I'd probably cheer for them if they played BC. But
and actually, they are in the tournament.
They are. They're playing St. Cloud. What do you mean?
At 30 p.m. I would say that where's BU? And
BU 10 and 4. BU is 10 and 4.
Dangerous opponent.
They are.
On one hand, I would like to say that St. Cloud, maybe it's good that they're not ranked number 1 or number 2.
It absolutely is. That
they don't have that.
They're not playing locally either in Sioux Falls or Fargo or St. Paul. Absolutely. The worst thing St. Cloud could have had happen, it wouldn't have happened, but it would get a number 1 seed and go to Fargo or somewhere, have to play, St. Lawrence or AIC or whomever. Look, they were 30 and 6 2 years ago, St. Cloud. 30 wins.
Right.
And they lost to AIC. The year before, they had won 28, 29 games. They lost to Air Force when they're incredible goalie.
Team, they were scoring 4, 5, 6 goals a game, maybe even more. We were playing CC, but And all of a sudden they're playing Air Force or AIC, and
Couldn't score.
they can't get the puck in the net.
No, these teams have 3 or 4 guys that are in the NHL now. You know, Paling and Lazat and Jack Ashan and others. So last year St. Cloud wasn't that good. Didn't matter because of COVID. And this year they were supposed to be not much better, and they've actually overperformed, going 17-10 with a second place finish, a close second in the NCHC, and they almost beat North Dakota in Grand Forks in the NCHC title game. So 6th appearance in a 7-year span in the tournament. And I think they're favored over BU, but I certainly, it's not going to be a shock if BU wins. And if St. Cloud can get through, that would be great to get a win for the first time in the tournament since 2015 and go on to play, obviously, possibly another Boston school, maybe Notre Dame.
Yeah, you got, you're going to have to get past both of them in all likelihood. So
probably so. And that's fine. It should be a challenge. I mean, 16 teams. Should we do some?
You could almost see. Well, maybe not. Well, it wouldn't be a shock if Notre Dame. I mean, we've seen the number 16 team win the whole thing before.
We've also seen Notre Dame be the number 1 team once or twice and not win it. Should we do some guaranteed to be wrong bold predictions?
Before we do the predictions, I do want to get on the Hobie Baker watch. And as you can see, Cole Caulfield from Stevens Point, like I say, the best player in college hockey. I do not see how he does not win that award. Matt Boldy, a sophomore for Boston College. David Ferentz from BU, Dylan Holloway from the Badgers, Spencer Knight from BC, Jack LaFontaine from the goaltender. So that's
and the Minnesota State goalie too.
So that might be your Mike Richter Award winner. And here, look at the sponsor for this page.
Don't mention that name; you'll get your YouTube video banned. Don't mention.
My Pillow, Jesus Sheets, 80% off. Get the secret code.
If you mention his name, you'll be banned from YouTube and Google. And
he doesn't like the Dominion.
Okay. Mike Dominion.
And then tell me about Dryden McKay. And if your name is Dryden, you better be a good goalie. And
I just know he's very good. We might as well just look what it says there. He has 9 shutouts.
He was putting up so many shutouts. He was turning away more shots than a Mormon at an Irish wake.
Nice. When BYU plays Notre Dame, right?
BYU's got to get a hockey program one of these years.
Yeah, 19-2 with a GAA
of Greg Wrubell. Yeah, huge hockey fan. I gotta make it happen, but he's from Downers Grove. 9 shutouts and 22 starts. Microscopic 1.25 goals against average.
Like an ERA.
Bob Gibson like goals against average. Finance major. But he's not 2-time Richter, and that might be it's between him and LaFontaine for the Richter Award. But
LaFontaine had some bad games, though. I mean, it's interesting. Wisconsin crushed him once. I mean, that's funny. I've watched more. Something
we got to mention about Wisconsin is, well, you have I know Denver rode the coattails of their goaltender. Tanner Gillette. And obviously UMD with Hunter Shepard. Wisconsin, they rotate goaltenders, and the indication is they will continue to do that throughout the tournament. So you will see one goaltender the first game. They win that, they will go to the second goaltender, someone at their opponent.
It's really interesting though, because and I know they're back-to-back games, so you understand that part. But What if they win their first game with a shutout? They're going to pull that goalie for the next game?
It's going to be very interesting because obviously the NCAA tournament's a different animal.
Yeah, well, I would stick with the hot goalie.
And I agree with you. There would be second guessing or galore if they. I mean, the second goaltender didn't do too well, and he got ran in the Big Ten title game. In fact, so that
Oh yeah, that was yes,
that might change the
they
thing.
might change that, Mr. Granado. All right.
Granado thinks he's the brightest guy in the room, but let's get to the predictions here.
Guaranteed to be wrong predictions. Right?
Yes. We could be wrong, but
it's hard. Look, I think I read somewhere that they never even have a perfect bracket in these things. People, it's hard. Well, in Fargo, I'm going to take North Dakota over AIC. I think we've been through that. And I'm going to take Duluth over Michigan. Duluth Duluth hasn't lost in the tournament in quite a while, so I think they're a better team than Michigan. Frankly, they could have flipped these seeds as well. I'll take Duluth, and I'll go to you now for your picks on those first two games.
Okay. As much as a Duluth fan that I am, I have a lot of connections to the university. We have to go with St. Cloud was one thing. You're not going to beat North Dakota in their backyard.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Michigan on the Big Ten Network. I like Michigan.
Okay.
And the final between those two,
well,
it'll be a mismatch, and I don't mean the forward on the North Dakota roster.
So you're taking North Dakota over Michigan?
I am taking North Dakota to advance to the Frozen.
And I'm going to take North Dakota in another epic North Dakota Minnesota Duluth game to win, mostly because they're playing at home. Frankly, I think it'll be a very good game, very close, a classic. But I'll take North Dakota as well to move on to Pittsburgh in the Final Four.
Okay.
Frozen Four. Sorry.
Frozen Four. Get it right. Let's go to the Bridgeport Regional.
Well,
like I said, I'm really nervous about Wisconsin. I got.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first in this one?
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
I'll go with Wisconsin, and I'll go with UMass, and then hopefully to jinx the Minutemen, I am going to take UMass because we can't have four number ones
Jinx them
into the Frozen Four. I might go with UMass. I'm going to jinx them right here and now.
I tend to agree with you. I think Bemidji and Lake Superior State, while they're great stories, I think is kind of just happy to be here kind of thing right now. So I'll take Wisconsin and I'll take Massachusetts. The Badgers with all those freshmen, I just don't know. UMass is a more veteran team, and I am going to take Massachusetts, though I hope Wisconsin wins.
Yeah, better. Wisconsin should have been much better last year, and I remember they had a big dude on that team, and I remember he's not on there. Andre, I think was his first name, but
they also had a little dude named Doogie.
Yeah, about 5'6". Yeah, I remember him.
Maybe 5'6".
Yes.
So we both have North Dakota and Massachusetts playing in the Frozen Four. Is that correct? They're on the same side?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
right.
well, yeah, we agree, and that is absolutely scary.
But I hope Wisconsin gets there. I really do. And I hope, frankly, Duluth does too.
Exactly.
But I'm honest. You got to be honest here. Okay.
Right. Now, Minnesota, they get the pick of the litter of all the Minnesota hockey brats, all the elitist families.
From Medina and Blaine.
Families. You got the Fabers, and I think Lou Nanny's grandson's moved on now, but you have all your legacy names with the Gophers. And then you have Minnesota State. And you know what? I like to be wrong on a couple of these. And heck, I've been wrong a lot in the basketball ones, but I go with Minnesota on the first one. And I hate to do this. There's really no home ice advantage in Loveland. And wait, I did not.
You're picking Minnesota and Quinnipiac?
Yeah, I'm picking. I had Omaha there.
Okay.
So I'm going. Yes, I am going Minnesota, and I'm going Quinnipiac.
Okay. Do you want to pick the winner of that game too?
I am going to go with Moscow to reach the Frozen Four.
Okay.
So,
I really want to pick Omaha. I really could. I can see it happening, but I just
it wouldn't shock me.
no, it wouldn't. I know Minnesota last time they were in 3 or 4 years ago, they lost in the opening round to like Lowell or Notre Dame. It's been a while. I don't think Minnesota's going to lose in the first round. I think they're there and they're happy and they're ready to play. So I am going to pick Minnesota. And I'm going to pick Minnesota State. I think this is the year they finally do get it done. It won't be easy. They've got a great goalie. Quinnipiac's got a great goalie. This may be a 1-0 game.
2-1 game, 2-1 double overtime.
Yeah, but they're going to get it done. And they're going to wind up playing in an all Minnesota battle. And again, trying to be honest, I'd love to pick Mankato or Minnesota State, but I think they'll be happy to have gotten through that game. And I'll go with the Gophers as well. So we have three of the same three teams in the Frozen Four so far.
Okay. So we'll go to Albany.
We will go to Albany, not Albany, Minnesota.
Or Albany.
I'll go first here. I'll go first here just for fun. I think Boston College will beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame, we've been through it. They're a little bit erratic. It could be a blowout, frankly, but I think they'll win. And I am going to pick St. Cloud State. I think they're a better team than Boston University. I admit I have not seen Boston University this year on TV, but judging by their season and up and down, and I think that St. Cloud State will get the monkey off their back and win. And I am going to pick St. Cloud State. It's a little bit of a homer pick, but last time the Frozen Four was in Pittsburgh, 2013, St. Cloud State was there. That's where it is this year, and it's a little bit of a bias there. I admit that, but I think they'll beat Boston College. And by the way, I heard Starman or one of the guys, actually, it's one of the New England guys on USCHO.com. He said the top 3 teams in the NCHC, that being St. Cloud, Duluth, North Dakota, are all better than Boston College. He didn't say who would win, blah, blah, blah. He said they're all better than Boston College.
So that's someone from out.
That's someone from New England saying that.
I got to say about the NCHC, that the television contract they've enjoyed the last 8 years on CBS Sports Network. Yeah. And if you want to see Boston College and that they're on this, usually on the ESPN Plus platform, and they get their audience, but I don't know how popular those streaming services were.
Yeah, I think people forget how good the NCHC is, and frankly, the Big Ten is very good this year, and the WCHA. There's a reason.
And Big Ten, obviously,
from the West,
Big Ten network, they get a lot of television exposure. Just to disagree, and just to have a different pick here, and ESPN would love.
Oh God, don't do that! Oh God.
And then
Boston, you might as well have, God, the terrible accents and the Red Sox. Oh my God.
I'm not rooting for them.
They'll be eating Boston baked beans and
you'll
clam chowder.
You'll be sending me the biggest text avalanche ever if St. Cloud State wins that game.
Or if they lose, you might get the same text avalanche if they lose.
It's going to be like a nuclear text bomb.
Nuclear text bomb from 5:30 to 8 p.m. on Saturday. Just get ready. My wife in the other room probably is hearing this and already cringing.
I hear you.
Okay.
So I've got Boston going just to have a different team than you do. Boston's going to be my 4th team.
They're going to BU is going to beat BC.
Yes.
Okay.
I have to pick an upset.
Okay.
It's hot.
And then we go to Pittsburgh for the Frozen Four, which heck, I might attend.
And then, actually, I was just curious. I drilled into one of these, just looking at the networks that these games are going to be on.
That's not going to
work. On Friday.
Getting a little dark here.
Oh, the dreaded ESPN3 and that's where they put that AIC St. Cloud.
Yes, that's where they outsource you. That's usually for like one of the games. Yeah.
The only time I have got an ESPN3 is through the Sling channel. So maybe if you have a free offer coming for Sling TV, maybe you can go with that. I know I don't know if it's the orange channel, the blue channel has ESPN3, but that's what that's going to be on.
That's just for the North Dakota game. Okay.
And Minnesota, well, ESPNU, so we're fine there. I think most of us get that. And
you're on the big one. Yeah.
Have to skip work, but it will be on ESPN2. Badgers, NC State. And then
what are we doing for the Frozen Four picks? What do you got?
Oh yeah, I just looking at the networks that today beyond before, and we'll get to it. I know I'm a little out of order here, but let's look at that 5:30 game. ESPNU, yes, I'll be on. Yeah, because my little Hulu membership is really going to be worth it this weekend. So that's like 3 of the 4 games there. And then the Saturday games is ESPNU for Omaha, Minnesota. And your Minnesota State game at 4 p.m. Oh, no.
Outsourced.
Yes. I mean, I know they're busy covering the women's basketball tournament and NBA and a horde of other events, but put it on a platform that people can see.
Put
on ESPN Plus. Oh, yeah, I've seen it. Your Molitor bobblehead. Yes, and I think we've gone through the BC game. That's on ESPN News.
St. Cloud Rocks.
Yes.
And we're on ESPN News, which I actually get.
It's on ESPN News. You got that on your
It is. I watch that channel one day a year. That's usually on March 27th. I watch it.
There you go. So let's go to the Frozen Four.
North Dakota against Massachusetts for both of us.
Yes.
I'm going to go with North Dakota. I think UMass was there 2 years ago, and I think North Dakota's hungry, and I think they'll get there. How about you?
I really can't bet against the Sioux. Yes, I'll have to go with them there on one side of the bracket.
On the other side, I have Minnesota against St. Cloud State.
Okay.
And, St. Cloud State, have traditionally matched up well with Minnesota. And I think St. Cloud State will win that game if that is the game that's played. I'll go with St. Cloud State.
I am going to go with Minnesota out of that. It would be in my case. It'll be Minnesota and BU that sneaks in on a lucky goal and a 4-3 overtime win over St. Cloud.
No,
but
stop.
That will have you angry for the next 8 months. It'll make you impossible for the next 8 months. But
you pick your final game first. North Dakota, Minnesota. Who you got?
North Dakota, Minnesota. I know this is like a vanilla pick. I'm going with North Dakota. Who you got?
The final game is North Dakota against St. Cloud State. It's a intra-NCHC game. It's a rematch of the NCHC title game in Grand Forks. Be played in Pittsburgh.
And St. Cloud was looking pretty good in that game for a while.
They were, and they did split the season series this year before that. North Dakota won in overtime. And the 2021 NCAA Division I men's hockey championship team, for the first time in school history, will be your St. Cloud State University Huskies.
Oh, why?
And the parades down St. Germain
Katie
Street.
Storm will be going nuts. I wonder if she'll be part of the ESPN NHL on ESPN coverage.
She should. I really believe she should. She's better than most of the ladies they have doing the basketball. Allie LaForce is good though. I mean, there's a few good ones.
Allie, Mrs. Joe Smith.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we will.
There you go. That's our NCAA preview show. NCAA hockey preview show, and we got some unrivaled biasness on homerism on AJ's winner. I just got to go with my heart, and I'm hoping I'm wrong on this. Play the horn. I can't do a hockey horn.
66. We got 64 hours till the puck drops in Bridgeport.
Yes. So I hope you enjoyed this special. Enjoy the games, and we're looking forward to doing it all again this year after a year off.
That's right. Thank you.
You're welcome.